I were to advertise that you could spend some time with Madonna or Harry Styles or Taylor Swift, they'd knock the door down to spend time with a no one. Well, I'm here to tell you, we're going to spend some time with Ralph Waldo Emerson. Now, granted, he hasn't been around for 250 years, but, we've all been late sooner or later. And so we want to spend time with his wisdom, with his consciousness, with his knowingness. He was so advanced for his age, or for that age that he lived in, that he became famous. He's one of the most quoted people in the world. And there's a reason for this, because the wisdom is eternal. Truth is eternal. What he has to say is eternal. It works in all places, at all times, with all people. Go into a card shop. Open up half the Hallmark cards will have quotes from Ralph Waldo Emerson, because they address the human emotion, the human spirit, if you will. And so I love spending time with Ralph Waldo Emerson. And one of the ways I do this is I have this deck of cards that I made up myself, that I took the quotes that I like from Ralph Waldo Emerson, and I put them on each card. I have 53 cards here, and I draw one in the morning and go, oh, this is the guidance for my day. It's kind of like a tarot, but it's not that. But it is rather fun to pull a card and to see what it says to me. Well, let's pull a card for today. Here's the card. And on the back of it, it's got a picture of Ralph on the front, and on the back is the quote. And this is what it says. This time, like all times, is a very good time if we know what to do with it. Whoa. What he's saying is, spending time with him, even though the human desire is to spend time with Harry Styles or Taylor Swift or Madonna or President Biden or some other famous character of our day, in order to spend time with them, but we can spend time with Ralph and take his wisdom with us, no matter where we are, no matter what the circumstances of our life are. We can get up in the morning and go, this time, because there is so much belief that these times are worse than the times before. Oh, a more simple time. I see folks that are a particular religious sect in the train station in Chicago, and they wear these funny little hats, and the women wear long dresses and bonnets to cover their hair. They live in a different time frame. But what they won't do is take an airplane, because they don't want to progress with life. They want to keep life simple and the old way, which is fine and dandy, except when it comes time to have your appendix out, you're going to die on a simple operation because you don't believe in modern medicine, or you won't go to a modern facility to have work done. Now, I'm not saying everybody in those sects, but everybody that belongs to that religion is told that these times are bad, that it was a better time to go backward than forward. And there's nothing further from the truth, because it stymies us, it shrinks us, it makes us small in many, many ways. It makes us dysfunctional in a world that's constantly changing, that's constantly different, that's constantly on the move. It's though we can't, that we can't even accept what we have right now. Now, Eckhart Tolle, who's a great philosopher, written many books, suggests, and one of his bestseller New York books is The Present Moment, the present time, that this time, right now, where you're sitting, listening to this podcast or this video, where you are right now is the perfect time. And only you can yield the results of your perfect time. I can't go to you in your house and sit at the dining room table with you and go, oh, give me your perfect time, please. I'm a little short on it today, because it's your perfect time. And how do you activate that? With something as simple as Ralph is suggesting right here. This time, like all times, is a very good time if we know what to do with it. Sometimes just protecting ourselves or making tomorrow better and all that is what keeps us busy, keeps us going to work, whatever it is that we need to do in order to have a paycheck to pay the rent and buy groceries. I get all that. But in order to make those times better, in other words, when you're in the grocery store, go, this is a good time. Now, I don't mean hysterical or stupid. You don't have to go into the macaroni and start laughing, or the Progresso soup and go, isn't this, and start singing a song. If you want to, go ahead. But what I'm getting at is those times, if you take that time and go, this is a very good time. You know why? Because we're very fortunate in America that we can go to a grocery store and buy groceries. Call your friends in Ukraine. See if they can do it. Call your friends in North Korea. Find out if they can do it. And for that matter, call your friends in the Soviet Union and find out if they can do it. Some can, some can't. This is a good time. We can go into a grocery store and buy groceries. Lucky us. Even if we don't have the money, sometimes there's government assistance that gives stamps or cards or something that assist in buying those groceries. These are good times. And even if we walk into a grocery store and go, oh, God, there's a line at the cash register. I do it all the time. Oh, God, they're out of grapes. This type of thing. But if we want our life to improve, and we all do, it's a natural human desire, then it's really important, like Eckhart Tolle points out, is that life is a series of small times. That maybe we want the big dramatic change in our life and winning the lottery, but guess what? It ain't going to happen. I mean, there's 1 in a trillion or something like that. So if you're listening to this, chances are you won't win the lottery, but that's okay. Neither will anybody else. However, you can say it's a good time. You can go inward and say, today is a good day. You know, I was late on a flight leaving Palm Springs, and I couldn't land in San Francisco because of the fog, which I've lived in San Francisco. I get the fog. It kind of stops air traffic. However, they made me very nervous because we were flying into San Francisco to catch another flight to go out of the country to see my brother. And it was at Christmas time. Not that that's important to me necessarily, but what is important is that I connected with my brother. He's not doing well. And I wanted to see him. I wanted to spend time with him. I wanted to say things that needed to be said in case either one of us left the planet. I wanted to make sure that we did that. It was important. And so I made great importance out of that time. I gave it importance. I made it important. And guess what? It became an important time. However, going back to the plane that's late, I'm sitting there wringing my hands, and I went and talked to the flight attendant, and I said, am I going to connect my flight? Am I going to get that flight to Mexico? And she goes, probably not. And she goes, you know, every morning I get up and I say to myself, things are going to work out today for me. And I said to her, when you build a church, when you have a church, would you give me the address so I can go listen to you? She calmed me down immediately. She goes, the day will turn out well. Just let it turn out well, Vince. Don't sit there and say, if you don't get your flight, it's not going to be a good time. Make it a good time. I so admired her. Flight attendant on United Airlines. She was wonderful. She calmed me down and she gave me hope. Guess what? We made the flight. Because I started to affirm to myself, all times like this time is a good time. So if I'm stuck at the San Francisco airport, I'm going to make it a good time. No matter where I am, I'm going to make it a good time. Ralph suggested it. I pulled another card. We were talking about time, that these times are good times, like all times, when we realize and recognize the goodness in the time, not the other way around. You can't sit there and go, any minute now I'm going to be happy. Choose this time to do it. Am I happy all the time? No. Am I a hypocrite? No, because I'm admitting I'm human. Guess what? It isn't. I fall off the wagon. However, when I choose to say these are good times, like all times, just like I did talking to that flight attendant, I said to her, by the way, when you have a church, give me the address. You know what she said to me? This plane is my church. Ha ha! I love that. She was making it the ultimate best at that time. And it says here on this second card I pulled, one cannot do a kindness too soon, for you never know how soon it will end. Wow. Make the time you're in, this present moment, the most important moment of your life. You know what I used to say, or what I say to myself when I give speeches in public, depending on the crowd a little bit, I will end it with saying, and the best is yet to come. Now, a lot of people will sit up straight and listen to that and go, you don't know my life. You don't know my family. You don't know my job. You don't know my boss. You don't know my kids. You don't know the amount of my mortgage payment. You don't know what kind of car I drive. You don't know that. No, I don't know that for them, but I can know it for me and say exactly that. Do a kindness. And you know who you need to do a kindness to? Yourself. Because if you do a kindness to yourself, in other words, that flight attendant told me I was going to catch a plane, and the kindness to myself was to believe her. And guess what? Like I said, we caught the plane. But I had to do a kindness to myself. I had to tell myself to stop worrying, stop wringing my hands. It'll work out. It's all going to be okay. And guess what it was? Even though my other mind, if you will, kept saying you're going to miss it. You're going to spend the night there. You're going to have to get a hotel room. You're going to miss seeing your brother. It's going to be a nightmare. You're going to miss your ride to his house, blah, 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 because it's so easy to go to blah, blah, blah. However, this time, like all times, is a good time. If you recognize it as such, oh, that's such power. Do I do it all the time? No. Do I fall off the wagon? Yes, I've said that already. But the reality is it's not about perfection. It's about progress. So you could not do a kindness too soon, for you never know how soon it will end. How often have you said to yourself, I meant to send flowers for their birthday. I meant to call them and say, congratulations on your whatever it is you congratulate them for. How many times have you said to yourself, I'm going to call her and say that Facebook picture I saw is really cute? How many times have you said to yourself, I'm going to write a note to so-and-so because I owe him a thank you? You never know. Do it now. Enjoy the present moment. Have the energy for right now and right here. That was the book of Eckhart Tolle. I said it was the present moment. It was actually the power of now, because there is tremendous power in now, recognized by Ralph Waldo Emerson, by recognizing if you see a kindness that you want to do, if you remember a kindness, if you have a kindness that you want to do, and you don't do it, it could fly away and never come back. And that's a loss for the whole universe. We must remember the present moment is good. It's full of ideas. It's perfect. When we recognize it as such, it becomes recognizable as such. And not until we do look at our moment as being good can we ever have the goodness we seek. Because guess what? It's always the present moment. You already know this. I'm not telling you anything you know. The past doesn't count. The future isn't here. The present moment is where we need to be. It's where we need to give kindness to ourselves, compassion, love, and goodness. And when we do that, we soothe ourselves into the recognition that we're spending time with a great person, which is ourselves. Thanks for tuning in and spending some time with me and Ralph and listening to our ideas and sharing your time with us. Thank you. Maybe you would rather spend time with Taylor Swift or Harry Styles or Madonna or Vice President Harris or Zelensky or all the other famous people on earth. But the reality is you make your own life worth living and famous and good when you begin to incorporate ideas that move you ahead, like those people that I just mentioned. Guess what? They do use their time well. They do kindnesses whenever they can, and they're givers to life. And so are we when we recognize that we have something to give. This is called appreciating the present moment. You can do it now and only now, and we already know this. So thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Thank you.